Good afternoon, everyone. It's 12:45 p.m. on November the 3rd, and I am wanting to give a little background to Romans 8:28. If you look at Romans 8:25, it says, "But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience." If you go to 24, it says, "For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees?" Likewise, in verse 26, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. And he who searches hearts knows what is in the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Many a days I've heard this. Many of churches I've been in, I've heard this verse. I've heard it said outside of church and inside of church. But today I want to talk about the point of it. The point of that is that going back to Romans 8:24, it says, "For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees?" The point of knowing that all things work together is that you're waiting. The title of this is Waiting. When you are waiting, things are working. It doesn't feel that way, but they are. The whole point of Romans 8:28 is that when we say, "For we know that all things work together for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose." The whole point of that is that when you're waiting, things are working, but you have to have faith that they are working. That's what 8:24 is talking about. "For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees?" If some things worked out, then that means you would only look for certain signs to know that something is good and something is not. But technically, you need to know that all things work together. Sometimes not getting an answer is a part of the process. Sometimes having something interrupt your process is a part of the process. Sometimes having to move your event to another date is a part of the process. Everything comes together because the whole point is we're trying to make it to where we can show that we had faith and that we were showing people that we had patience. And so it says in 25, "But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience." So I want you to remember something. Getting some of the answers is not good enough. You need all the answers. And so God sends everything to come and help us. So therefore today, remember Romans 8:28 and Romans 8:24 through 28. 8:28 is, and I say again, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. But when you go back to 24, it says, "For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees?" Therefore, I want you to know that while something is not working, it just means that you have to go into your season of waiting, because things are working. It's just not working to your eyesight. But see, that's why it says, "Who hope for what he sees?" If you could see that something was going to work, you wouldn't have a patience. You probably wouldn't have a prayer for it. But when you don't see something, but that's what you want to see, you have to wait for it to be shown to you. And there are things that are going to come before you see what you are looking to see, because that's what it means when it says all things work together. The bad days, the not so good days, the days where you were delayed, the days you had a headache, the days you had some things coming up, and you're saying to yourself, "Man, all I wanted to do was to do this one thing that I had planned to do." But see, you can't go somewhere and not be willing to let God use you if you call yourself a disciple. So therefore, when you get to where you're going, if you had only certain things that you had to go through to get there, you probably would only do certain things, and you would miss the opportunity to do other things that God wants you to do once you get that thing. You don't get a car just for you to ride in it. That car has a many of people that you haven't met yet that need to ride in that car. You didn't get that job just so you can have the money. There's a lot of people who are going to need some money later, and that's why God gave you that job. So I just want you to know it's not about you. It's about waiting for God to show you what you're supposed to do with the blessings that are his and not yours. God bless the readers, hearers, and doers of his holy word.